Hey y'all, hey! How are you all doing today? How are you all doing today? It's me, Jante, Michelle Robinson, here closing out the end of Financial Literacy Month. Can you all believe that we've been on this journey for 30 days? Yes, we've been doing it for 30 days, sharing information about financial literacy, from debt elimination to how to create wealth, all these different amazing topics we've been going through for the last 30 days. And I want to thank all of you who have been with me on this journey. And so today I wanted to do something a little bit different, and I wanted to take some time and answer some questions. I want to answer some questions. And so I have some questions that I'm going to be responding to today. Some frequently asked questions. So I'm like, okay, let's get into some facts, y'all. Let's get into some facts, FAQs. And then, if those of you who are tuning in live today, if you have some other questions that I don't go over, just drop them in the chat box and I would be delighted to answer them for you. Now, listen, I really don't plan on being on here long, and I'm going to tell you what the saving grace is. The saving grace is that the sun is shining. And for those of you who are here in the Pacific Northwest, you know that is a commodity. And I'm trying to get myself outside, and so I don't plan on being on here long. So let me get into the questions today. Are y'all ready for some facts? Are y'all ready for some frequently asked questions and some answers? All right, so question number one says, what's the difference between being rich and wealthy? And this is something that I hear a lot of times, and people have a gazillion different responses to it. My response is just, being rich is rooted in money. Being rich deals with the amount of money that you have, while being wealthy, and beyond all of the feel good responses about being wealthy, is relationships and all those things. It most certainly is. But being wealthy is also about how much you keep, how long your money works for you, the legacy you leave behind. When we talk about wealth in the context of finances, wealth is sustainable. Being rich is temporary. And we see this all the time as it relates to like athletes, celebrities, people who win the lottery. They will come into money real quick and they will be rich, but it's not sustainable. Wealth is sustainable. Wealth isn't just about what you get, but it's about what you're able to retain. Not only what you're able to retain, but also what you're able to build and create legacy with. So that is wealth. And it most certainly is relative to relationships, is relative to relationships, is relative to health, is relative to your soul, to your spirit. Excuse me. And those are some things that I'm going to be getting into more as we continue to go through this journey together in life. Question number two. Why does it feel like I make a decent amount of money, but I never get ahead? This is another question. And even if I don't hear this question formally, this is like a reality that I have observed, that I have been in. And this is real. This is a real question, and I want to address that because I too have been there. And I ain't talking about just making decent money. I'm talking about where I've made good money. I've made money in a month that some people have made in a year and still felt like I was struggling. All right. So this is real. Why does it feel like I make a decent amount of money, or I make decent money but never get ahead? And that's because income alone doesn't build wealth for you. And it's not about what you make. It's not about what you make. It's about your strategy. It's what you have the ability to keep, is what you have the ability to grow. And without a proper strategy, without a proper budget, without proper planning, debt management, all these different things, your money will leak out. You often hear me say that you have to give your money a job. You have to tell your money what to do. If you don't give your money a job and you don't tell your money what to do, it is going to walk away from you quietly, meaning that you're going to have it, you're going to know you made it, and then it's going to be gone because you did not give it a job. You did not tell it what to do. And so when you don't give your money a job, when you're making decent money and you don't give it a job, meaning you don't have it in an account that's compounding interest, when you don't purchase assets with it, what you do is you waste it, you squander it, you spend it. So that's what happens. And it becomes a cycle where you end up finding yourself in debt and overspending. So bottom line is you got to have a strategy. Something I'm going to always say, I'm going to be a broken record about having a financial strategy. Some people say it's overcomplicating things. Well, wealthy people have strategies for their money. All right. Okay. Question number two. What is the first three? Question number three. What is the first step to building wealth? First step to building wealth is being honest about what your current state is. You got to be honest about what your current state is, and then you got to have a vision as to where you are going. That's the first step to wealth building, is being honest about where you're going and then having a vision. All right. So if you're not honest about your current state, then you're not going to be able to address it. You have to be willing to acknowledge the fact that you are bad with money if that's your reality. Because if that is your reality, now you need to identify what you need to do to address that and to deal with that. If you are in a whole bunch of massive debt, listen, you got to be honest with yourself about that. It's not just going to disappear. I don't care how many affirmations you say. It's just not going to like go bye-bye. Of course, unless God decides to do something miraculous, which he absolutely can. But God is a God of principle, and stewardship is one of his principles. And so we have to be willing to steward the resources that he gives to us properly. And a part of that deals with being honest. You have to be honest about your relationship with money. You have to be honest about where you currently are. And from that, start building a plan. So that is one of the initial steps to building wealth. Do I have to be debt free to start building wealth? No, you do not have to be debt free to start building wealth. But if you have bad debt, which is debt that does not produce income, or debt that's not an asset, and what debt is that's an asset is something like a home. A lot of people have mortgages on homes, where homes are an asset. If you have debt as a result of you purchasing something that's going to make you money, that's good debt. Bad debt are things that don't make you any money, and they depreciate as opposed to appreciating. So if you have bad debt, it doesn't stop you from building wealth. It doesn't stop you from being in a place of getting to financial freedom, but you have to address the debt, because debt eats away your money. Okay. When you have debt, specifically when you have things that are financed, those finance companies, those banks are charging you interest. So beyond you just owing the principal of whatever it is that you purchase, they're also charging you interest. And interest rates on credit cards, on things that are financed, are typically high. And so that's eating up your money, as opposed to you earning interest, you are paying out interest. So no, it doesn't stop you from building wealth, but it can definitely slow you down, because all of that money that you are paying out in interest, you could actually be utilizing it to work for you. And myself and a lot of my colleagues, we have tools that can illustrate this principle to you and begin to show you how much you actually are paying out in interest on top of the debt that you're paying back, and how that could be like rerouted and utilized to compound interest and create and build wealth for yourself. Fifth question. And people are asking this because I talk about it a lot, and that is life insurance. And the question is life insurance really a wealth building tool? Yes, yes, yes. Life insurance is a wealth building tool when it is properly structured. And let me say this actually. Life insurance is a wealth building tool, period, and point blank. Because if you have even term life insurance and you die and it's a good amount, and your beneficiaries do the right thing, they can build wealth with that. But life insurance is bigger than just something that you can use when you die. It's a wealth building tool in life. Life insurance, when it's proper structured, when it's structured properly, life insurance can build cash value that is compounding at a rate that is much better than banks. It's protected from the lows of the market. You can borrow from it to invest in other things. It's tax free when you take it out, so you're saving money on taxes. It can function as a private bank. It can fund your business. It can cover emergencies. It can do all types of things while also being a tool that can be utilized to pass down to beneficiaries or heirs. Okay. So it is a wealth building tool. Life insurance is a tool that I encourage people who have debt to utilize to get out of debt. It's a Swiss Army knife. That's what I cannot think of his name right now. I see his face. Doug Andrews. That's something that Doug Andrews, who is like a beast when it comes to life insurance. He talks about life insurance being a Swiss Army knife, meaning that you can use it for many different things. You can use it to pay off debt. You can use it to build your retirement fund. You can use it for a plethora of different things. And so, yes, life insurance is a wealth building tool. My husband and I have life insurance that we use as a wealth building tool. We have multiple policies that we utilize for wealth building. I don't tell you to do things that we don't do or that I don't do. And I don't speak from a place of something that I read or that I heard. All of the strategies that I talk to you all about are strategies that we have employed and they have worked for us. Number 6, and I'm winding down. What if I have bad credit? What if I have bad credit? Can I still build wealth? Credit is just one part of your financial story. It's just one part of your financial story. And many of us have had bad credit before. I done told y'all my credit score was in the low 400s. I think it was like 420, it was low. It was super, super low. I don't even remember what it was, but it was low. I don't think it dipped into the 300s, but it was low. It was so low that I think for me to like try to finance a car, they were trying to like do 20 something percent. It was ridiculous. It was embarrassing. But it didn't end all for me, right? Again, it's about being honest about where you are so you can address the issue and build your credit back up. You can repair your credit. You can build savings, utilizing, again, things like life insurance. And let me back up and talk about why I promote life insurance for eliminating debt. I promote life insurance for eliminating debt because it can do multiple things at the same time. So people often make the recommendation of the snowball method to pay off your debt, or the avalanche method. Snowball method being to pay off your smaller debts first and then take those payments and essentially reallocate them to the next debt and so on until you pay them off. Well, the issue with that is that you're not saving money. You're focused on paying off debt, paying off debt. When you utilize life insurance, when it's structured properly to pay off debt, you have the ability to put money away to pay off debt. And typically the strategy is similar to a snowball method, but it's more focused on storing up the money in the policy to pay off the debt completely. And there's other ways that we can do this. But here's the key. When you pull the money out to pay off the debt, you're pulling it out by way of a policy loan, which means that that money is still compounding interest inside of your life insurance policy. So you're paying off debt, and while you're paying off debt, you're actually creating a reservoir of money. You're creating a savings, you're creating a retirement, whatever you want to call it. You're also creating savings all at the same time. So you're not just killing one bird, if you will. Bird lovers, please don't come for me. You're not killing one bird or with one stone. You're like killing two birds with one stone, and that's a life insurance policy. And I'm going to be doing a lot of talking about this next month. And I'm going to talk more about that towards the end. Okay, I'm going to do 10 questions. So if y'all got a question, y'all better drop it down in the chat box, because I am already on question number 7 that I already have. What's the biggest money myth that keep people broke? The biggest money myth is that you got to work more, and that you got to work harder. That is the biggest myth ever, because I'm going to tell you the truth. Most wealthy people are not working hard. They're disciplined, they're focused, they have strategy. And I'm going to say this, and I don't care, because it is what it is, and I am who I am. And they typically have a relationship with God. All right. They're believers, they're spiritual people. So they do some soul work, however it is that they believe. And as we know, those of us who are believers, that we prosper as our soul prospers. So the biggest myth is that you got to work hard, because I see people who work hard, hello HVVR, and they're still broke. And so it's not about how hard you work. It's about how smart you work. It's about being disciplined. It's about being diligent. It's about having wisdom. All right. So you don't need to work hard. You need to know the strategies and have the information to make your money work for you, and to make your money work harder for you, not for you to work hard. And so that's where financial literacy comes in. That's where having a financial coach comes in, a financial advisor, because they're able to talk to you about things that the wealthy people do, like having their own bank, like having a solid tax strategy, those types of things. So don't go out there and get 3 and 4 jobs and think that you're going to create wealth. You might have some savings, but it's not going to be wealth, and it's not sustainable, because you can't keep up working hard. I bet I can get you to cuss. Well, you know what, HVVR, you got the wrong spirit. So, I ain't got time. All right. So what does legacy really mean financially? Legacy is a collective of a lot of different things. It's not just money. It's your wealth. It's your wisdom. It's your values. It's all of those different things. So, you know, that's the thing about legacy. And legacy is not just a financial term. Legacy is what we build, and it's something that lasts beyond us. Dr. Trim often talks about living your life as an individual and dying as an institution. Amen. All right. Number 9 is budgeting restrictive. First of all, I really don't like utilizing the term budget, because that's the first thing that comes to people's mind is restriction. And budgeting is like, when you think about that term, you think about it like a diet. And nobody likes being on a diet. God knows I don't like dieting. My goodness, I don't like dieting, because guess what? I like to eat. So I rather have a eating plan that tells me what I can eat, as opposed to a diet that tells me what I can't eat. And so it's semantics. Budgets are not restrictive. I prefer the term spending plan, which tells you what you are doing with your money. A budget or spending plan simply gives your money a purpose. It tells you when to say no. It tells you when to say yes, and all of those different things. All right. And then my last question that I'm going to address today is, what's the number one reason most people don't build wealth? And the number one reason why most people don't build wealth is they don't build wealth because they don't have the information, the education, and the access. I often say there's no shortage of wealth or resources in the planet. The issue is lack of access, education, and information. And so people, when they lack those things, they don't have the ability to build wealth. Sometimes people also fear change, and then they don't have a clear strategy or a plan. When you have the right knowledge, you have the right support, and you have the right tools, building wealth actually becomes easy. I want to again thank all of you for joining me on here today. I want to thank you all for joining me on here today. Now, this is the last day of Financial Literacy Month, but this is not the last day that I am going to be sharing financial information with you all, because starting tomorrow, May 1st, we are going to be celebrating and acknowledging Military Appreciation Month. And so for those of you who are connected to the military, whether you are on active duty, whether you are reserve status, whether you are National Guard, whether you are a veteran, whether you are a relative, a dependent, a spouse of a service member or a veteran, this is about you all. I am a veteran. And this month is very, very special. And so what we are going to be doing this month, in addition to sharing information, we are going to be providing complimentary debt elimination strategy sessions for military personnel. All of those categories that I have named, we are going to be providing free debt elimination strategy sessions for you. I am going to be doing probably around a total of 4 complimentary debt elimination workshops. I'm going to try to do them live. If I don't do them live, I will pre-record it and release it weekly. Of course, you will have to sign up to access it. But again, the goal is to get you all out of debt, because I was in the military. When I was in the Army, and if you get my ebook, What Being Broke Taught Me, you hear all the dumb stuff that I did. But I was in the Army and I was so broke. I was so broke that I couldn't pay attention. That is a real condition. It makes no sense. I was bouncing checks. I was doing all kinds of dumb stuff. And I understand the challenges that a lot of military personnel face, especially when you are young and you join the military and you don't come from a family that talks about money and finances, you were poor, etc. Because you join the military oftentimes to get away from that and to actually create a better life for yourself. But if you don't have a solid financial education, then you end up not taking advantage of the amazing opportunities that are presented to you. And I have had the privilege, I want to say it was either this month or last month, of working with someone who was in the military, very young person, to start the path or help continue the path of creating a wealth legacy. And I am definitely excited to be doing some more of that in the month of May. So thank all of you so much for joining me over these last 30 days. Make sure you go back and you rewatch the different reels that we have posted. Make sure that you engage with the content, because this information is information that I guarantee you, I give guarantees. If you follow the process, if you follow the advice and the strategies, you will tap into a wealthy life. God bless you all, and I'll see you soon. Bye.